Yo, these Latin American drafts are hitting different, dog. This battle was absolutely mad. Like these guys do not give a single fuck. They like I guess when they fight each other, you know, like the dynamic is just different, right? Because this is a LATAM versus LATAM battle, right? So the perception of what they think is good is based off their battles with each other, and it just makes it so much more interesting and different from what everyone else has been prioritizing. They actually do not care about the meta. You know, they said no Aurora, we don't care. I was tracking no Aurora, no Ash, Skarner priority was down, no Ziggs. What else was there? They just do not care about this meta, bro. And like look, it's actually a fight club in here because they ban out like a lot of control mages as well because these guys just want to scrap. Like look at the Wukong stonks, they're out, and look at this, bro. This is diabolical. Jax B1, bro. Like this is actually psychopathic, no? Like these drafts. And the worst part is it kind of makes sense against R7, bro, because this team is so centered around Summit, right? I believe teams have deciphered, they've cracked the code. R7 cannot function if Summit's not doing well, right? And if you just B1 Jax, hello, there's no counter, bro. There's not much you can really do. I don't think, I think the best you can do is probably something like the Cassante. You have to minimize the matchup, right? In lane, like this is just how Jax is, right? So you're just like his champion identity is to cuck you, so that's basically what's gonna happen, right? They go for a Poppy opener here as well. I also can't really evaluate the draft based on normal priorities because they don't care. These teams just have different priorities than what every other team is doing, but they're not necessarily a bad thing, right? I'm surprised they go Lucian Nami when they already see Poppy as well, but Lucian Nami in a vacuum is pretty solid, so I'm not mad at this. I think this needs to be played more, actually. And these Latin American teams have a huge emphasis on just throwing hands, getting a huge advantage in the early game, and just causing a shit show. And I'm down for a shit show, right? So, not so bad so far. R7 have a small advantage on mid here because they've basically, like, look at every mid laner. They're all banned, right? And Syndra was the only one basically remaining without tapping into some really weird stuff. So they actually end up yoinking it on here. This is a jungle support flex from R7 potentially, but most likely jungle Poppy because they probably want to pick something into the Lucian Nami that would at least fare decently and match well, right? And I think the cash out is actually Zyrakan, and we actually tap into the Ahri as well. I do think all these other mid laners aside, Ahri is also pretty decent. This is probably only forced because the entire mid lane pool was absolutely nuked, so it's not like the best thing ever into the R7 comp, but what it does do is give Pain Gaming 3 winning lanes. So, you know what I'm saying? That ain't bad. However, R7 do have a really good match, right? They made the most of it. They're tapping into things that I really do like. You know, I'm a Poppy enjoyer. I haven't seen it too much yet because I think teams are still adapting to how gentle it needs to be. Like the coast needs to be clear, but every good champion is just gone, bro. Like it's just out the window. They don't care. I love how they left everything up and they just want to play how they want to play. So this draft is like, because of that, it's like low-key even. You know, it's maybe 60-40 to one of these teams, right? I would probably give it towards Pain just because of the amount of agency they have, and it's like any pro team, like as long as they can execute well, right, then they're able to get ahead off that. I do think in the second game the lunacy continues, right? So Pain actually ended up losing, and they said run it back, guys. So they ended up deleting the Syndra once more. And they do the same thing, right? They're like, fuck it. We think this is the best way to play against you guys, so we're going to do it again. So R7 adapt, they just going for the Hui instead, and it's basically the same draft over again because both teams are like, well, I mean, I thought that this was the best draft, so let's just do it again, right? Look, they're actually just doing it again. I believe they only swapped the jungler as well because Maokai kind of ass. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. So look. They just did the same thing. They swapped one champ. It's the same thing. And both teams said, yeah, this is good, guys. I think we win. And now it's even. It's even. And so this is where we get to the funny part. They swap sides, right? I guess both these teams, they like blue side. It makes sense, right? When you B1 Jax, you're going to guarantee that you're going to get a strong side into Summit. Makes sense? So they ban Jax, right? On blue. And they go for Sejuani. Actually, smart adaptation in this set. I actually do like this. The other champions that were previously banned in the previous set are now open, so they're going to go for the Wukong counter into the Sejuani. And a lot more lane dominant stuff. LeBlanc is now open as well. They go for that. And I think this is another champ that I'm surprised isn't played as much as it should be. Like, one of the first champ that I'm surprised isn't played enough was Poppy, and the second one was LeBlanc. And they actually interact with each other because if you pick the LeBlanc, then the Poppy like viability goes up, right? And I thought pro teams would love like just having 3 winning lanes, priority and ability to do whatever you want on the map as soon as the game starts, right? And especially it's the case when these two Latin American teams are just trying to fight so much, right? And I would like to actually see some of the other regions kind of adapt this. We will see during the Swiss stage if teams do. I do think there's a good chance if I were to put money on it. I think there is a good chance. The different dynamic with this lane as well is also that Summit is actually on strong side duty for once, right? But however, it is on the cursed Renekton against the Cassante, which has a lot of neutralizing ability. Like Weiser also could have even went for the Rumble counter as well if he wanted to, and he could have made it much more volatile. I am actually surprised they ended up like cooling it off a bit. And the rest of their draft plays out like normal, right? And the drafts are close. Let's put it that way. The drafts are close, but not for the reasons you think. It's just because these guys want to fight, and I love that. It makes for some really entertaining games. I think genuinely some of the other teams should be taking note of this. It doesn't have to be boring to play like Ziggs and all that shenanigans, right? You can get more aggressive with your drafts. I think teams should be, and I think this is a meta where a lot of teams can. And I think what I would take away from this is that you can combine this priority, and other teams can learn from this series in order to kind of take notes of how to adjust, like, okay, we can pick this in this slot, and then we can come up with our own counters and creative counters based on what we'd like to play and what our team thinks is good, and then from there you have such a leg up when it comes to later stages in like the whole world's meta, right? And kudos to these two teams. They made it really entertaining, and other teams, take notes on this, man. This is some good stuff. So yeah, catch you in the next one.